Just a few weeks ago, I took my entire family on a weekend getaway to Nickelodeon Universe, located in the American Dream Mall. The park is only a few months old, but with the cold winter months upon us, I needed a change of pace, and what better way is there to break up the winter blues than a trip to an indoor amusement park? In today's review, I am going to dissect the park and present all the good and the bad. Alright, on to our first category. Rides and attractions. With 21 attractions, Nickelodeon Universe has a decent amount of attractions to keep you busy for an afternoon or on a really busy day like when we visited all day. The majority of the attractions in this park are geared towards bigger kids, I'd say like ages 8 and up, somewhere around there. Sure, there are a few attractions for the younger ones, but not enough to keep them engaged for the entire day. My daughter Braylon, who is 5, still managed to have a great time, but I wish that there was more for her to do. She was just tall enough to ride the Nickelodeon Slime Streak, which is pretty much the peak intensity for her at this age. Personally, I feel like this park is missing a good high-capacity dark ride, something that every guest could enjoy. But anyways, all the attractions at Nickelodeon Universe have some sort of theming associated with Nickelodeon's show or character, with some attractions having more details than other. Currently, while I was visiting, only 3 of the 5 roller coasters were operational. Sandy's Blasting Broncos has yet to open, and there's no indication as to when this will take place. Timmy's Half-Pipe Havoc was closed for maintenance, I guess. Not really sure as the reason why, since the park has only been open for a few months, and we visited on a Saturday. I would assume that you would do your maintenance during the week and not on your busy weekends. As I mentioned already, Nickelodeon Slime Streak was operating, and it's a great family coaster. It's a good stepping stone before heading over to the bigger, more intense thrill machines. Shredder and TMNT Shellraiser are the park's marquee attractions. Both are intertwined with each other, creating one giant spaghetti bowl of track. Shredder is a fun spinning roller coaster that offers a long ride time, serving as the next step up from Nickelodeon Slime Streak before taking on the main thrill machine, Shellraiser. This roller coaster is the park's main attraction. It towers over everything in the park. I will be discussing all 3 of these roller coasters in more detail within their individual reviews, but overall they are decent attractions. Something weird about Shellraiser though, it doesn't open until 11 AM on Saturdays. It's actually printed on the sign. The roller coaster actually didn't open until 1 PM during my visit, which was disappointing and strange. Why delay the opening of your most popular attraction on the busiest day of the week? I don't know. Aside from the roller coasters, the park has a good handful of thrilling flat rides, which is where I would see majority of your guests bouncing from attraction to attraction. Oddly enough, all the high thrill attractions are located towards the far left of the park, except for Shellraiser. Its entrance is right near the front of the park, where all the kiddie family attractions are. Later in the day, Shellraiser had a shorter line, while every other attraction was packed to the gills. I believe it's mainly due to a location. It's easier to hop right in line to the attraction next to the one you just disembarked, instead of walking all the way across the park to Shellraiser. Many of the attractions at Nickelodeon Universe have a poor to average ride capacity. Nickelodeon Slime Streak only operates with 1 train, so the line for that roller coaster really starts to stack up. I wouldn't say the ride ops were slow, but the protocols had them checking and rechecking everything before dispatching the attraction, which would make for some really long lines. All of the family kiddie attractions had really low capacity, with the line to ride Dora's Sky Railway being the longest in the park. Even their bigger attractions weren't super efficient. The Drop Tower has one of the longest ride cycles ever. It's like 3 minutes long. Shredder operates with multiple trains, but every train holds a max capacity of 4 riders, and with dispatches around 1 minute each, the line simply crawls. Shellraiser is a little more efficient with 8 riders per train, and I usually notice 2 trains on the track at all times, but still not the best capacity either. Overall, rides and attractions gets a score of 8. It's hard to rank it a little higher when 2 of their roller coasters were closed, the slower operation, and as I mentioned earlier, maybe a couple more rides needed for the younger ones. Please note, I really don't want to rag on the operation since the place is rather new and they're still figuring things out, but I wanted to mention it since this is an area for improvement. Theming and presentation. Being a new theme park, everything has a nice polish, so no wear or tear, paint chipping away, stuff like that. It's all brand new and sparkly. For those who like to debate the whole, is it an amusement park or a theme park? Nickelodeon Universe, in my opinion, is an amusement park. Sure, there are plenty of different themes scattered around with different rides, but this is an amusement park at heart. It isn't a fully immersive experience, so if you were expecting something like Disney, you better lower your expectations. Now, there is nothing wrong with this being an amusement park. This place is focused on the thrill rides and not so much the theming. Once the mall is up and running, I would assume Nickelodeon Universe will become more of like a partial day attraction, hit up a few rides in the morning, maybe go check out some shops, eat, then come back later in the day. I really couldn't imagine spending an entire day in the park, nor do I think it is designed for that. Presentation as a whole looks good, except maybe throw a little color on the giant blank wall behind Shellraiser. It's the backdrop for the entire park after all, and it just makes you feel like you're inside a giant warehouse. I'm sure this could be something to come in the near future. I know American Dream needed to get this place open, so it's possible that certain details were put on hold. As a side note, being a parent with a 1-year-old, I was presented with a rather odd situation, and that was where to change my child's diaper. My obvious instinct was to go to the nearest restroom, but unfortunately, they didn't have any baby changing stations in most of the restrooms, both male and female sides. So I went over to the guest services to ask where I could change my child's diaper, and they told me the only baby changing station was inside the family bathroom, and further, they only had one. There is another set of bathrooms over to the far left side of the park, which I didn't look in there to see if they have a baby changing station, but according to the guest services, it's just the one located near the park entrance. I end up waiting about 15 minutes in line before I could change my child's diaper, which isn't a good first impression if you ask me. Hopefully this is an issue that could get addressed, since I'm sure I was not the only one with this problem. Anyways, theming and atmosphere gets a score of 8. Park food. Besides 1 or 2 small stands selling ice cream and other kinds of snacks, there is only one place that you can buy a meal inside Nickelodeon Universe, and that's in the back right corner over near the entrance of Shredder. Fortunately, the staff was really efficient moving the guests through the long line. Remember, it's the only place within the park to buy a meal. But once we bought our food, we were faced with another issue. There is no place to sit. We ended up sitting down on one of the smaller walls, which worked for us, but yeah, seating is a real issue. There are benches throughout the park, but we didn't feel like tracking all around the park to find something. I know this might be a tough issue to tackle because space is very precious commodity within an indoor park. You could add more tables, but only at the price of removing another attraction or shrinking a queue. The food options were very basic with pre-made sandwiches, wraps, and salad. There were a few hot options like pizza, hot dogs, and nachos, but that was your basic options. I think a score of 6 for the food category seems fair. Ride staff. I think every interaction that I had with the park staff was a pleasant one. They all seemed to be happy to be there, which is a real plus. Food employees were on point, moving the guests through their line efficiently. The ride attendants were also doing a good job. They would attempt to fill every empty seat on a roller coaster to maximize capacity. Although I think they maybe took a little too much time doing this, there were definitely some bugs to work out with the park operations, but I think the staff there are doing the best with what they have. One of the ride operators for Shellraiser was kind enough to get me on the first train of the day because he noticed that we had been waiting for the ride to open for some time. So he got us on the first train, so hats off to that employee. Ride staff earns a score of 9. Park value. This is going to be the most challenging category to rank. Right now, tickets are $69 for an all access and $59 for general access, which is the kids' ticket more or less. In a vacuum, this sounds pricey, especially when you compare it to something like Cedar Point, Hershey Park, and Six Flags Great Adventure. All of those parks have considerably more attractions for the whole family to enjoy with relative similar prices. American Dream has the significant advantage being open every day of the year and is located indoors, so weather is never a factor. When I see that the daily tickets to Six Flags Great Adventure is $84, though discounted tickets are easily available, I feel Nickelodeon Universe is overpriced. Oh, and a kid's ticket to Six Flags Great Adventure is $35, which is considerably cheaper than the $59 at American Dream, and Six Flags has way more for the kids to do. Nickelodeon Universe, located at the Mall of America in Minnesota, goes for about $50 a day, but it's not an apple-to-apples comparison. Both parks have different attractions, and the Mall of America has a lot of bundle packages, making it more challenging to compare. With all that being said, we now must take into consideration the local market, which is currently American Dream's primary customer. While I was visiting the park, it was very busy, meaning that the $69 price tag was justified since people were still coming. In fact, I've heard they've turned people away since the park was at capacity in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if they hit park capacity the day that I visited. When we left for the day, the line to purchase a ticket extended past the queue, down the hall, and around the corner. The law of supply and demand plays an important role in every business, and since there is high demand, the price will naturally go up. On a side note, I noticed that the water park, which is opening on March 19th, has a ticket price of $99, which is insane. Again, the supply and demand might justify this price tag for now, but regardless, it is pricey. After looking around, it is the most expensive water park that I could find, including Disney and Universal water parks in Florida. Now, fortunately, the pricing will not stay at this level forever. Eventually, the park will have to drop their prices once the excitement of this place starts to die down. I think in a year or so, when the mall is fully operational, we will see more options for tickets, maybe at reduced prices, but then again, I could be wrong here. Now, in the summer, I don't know why you would consider a trip to American Dream when there are plenty of better theme parks at around the same price point and not too far away. Hershey Park is a superior park with a similar price tag and only 3 hours away, and Six Flags Great Adventure is only 1 hour away. All in all, Nickelodeon Universe gets a score of 5 for park value. Oh, and I keep forgetting, for those who want to visit the park but don't want to ride any rides, you will still have to pay an admission, which is the $59. I really don't get this because they still scan your wristband at every single attraction. Maybe this is just to keep all the riffraff out so everybody who's in the theme park are there to ride the rides. But anyways, this is an important note, so if you are visiting the park, please be aware that you will have to pay admission to enter, even if you're not going to ride any attractions. The final score comes to 7.3, which is a good to average score. We must remember that this park is still in its infancy and has plenty of time to grow and make changes. For those who live in the Northeast, having an indoor amusement park to visit during the cold winter months is invaluable. Now I could ride roller coasters in January without flying down to Florida or California. My personal score is going to be a 7. It's a park that I wouldn't have a problem visiting again, or in fact, I look forward to visiting later this year or early next year to get the credits I missed and to enjoy a day at the park out of the cold winter weather. Nickelodeon Universe has a few bugs to work out, but I think in the long run, this will turn into a great indoor park that coaster enthusiasts will want to visit at some point. Well, thank you for watching today's review. Let me know what you think of Nickelodeon Universe in the comments below. As always, please subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content coming your way by XscreamThrills.